For 8 long months, I fought to be heard. 8 months of frustration, pain, and the growing, gnawing certainty that something inside me was deeply wrong. But to my doctor, I was nothing more than an inconvenience, a hypochondriac with an overactive imagination. It started subtly. I felt exhausted all the time, a deep, bone-weary fatigue that no amount of rest could cure. I lost weight rapidly, my clothes hanging looser with each passing week. Then came the pain, a persistent, stabbing sensation in my flank that refused to be ignored. I knew my body, and I knew something wasn't right. So I did what anyone would do. I went to my doctor. I laid out my symptoms one by one, hoping he would listen, hoping he would see what I already knew. But instead, he rolled his eyes. "Cancer," he scoffed. "I highly doubt that." He threw out possible explanations, each more dismissive than the last. Maybe I was just run down. Maybe I needed more vitamins. "Let's try B12, he said. "If you checked my records, you'd see I'm already on it," I replied. He suggested thyroid issues. "If you check my records, you'd see I already take thyroxine," I reminded him. On and on it went, a frustrating game of medical ping-pong. He flipped through my prescription history and landed on a decade-old record of an antacid that he decided was my issue. "Sounds like heartburn," he said. "Let's lower your dose, take it twice daily, and check back in 6 months." I stared at him, my blood running cold. "It's not heartburn," I said firmly. "I know what heartburn feels like." I had already been to see him 6 times. By medical guidelines, after 3 visits with no improvement, a referral should have been automatic. I reminded him of this. He sighed, clearly irritated, and finally, grudgingly, wrote the referral. At least that's what I thought. Referrals for potential cancer cases could be expedited within 2 weeks if deemed necessary. But when I called to check a week later, I learned that he had placed me in the lowest priority category, no urgency, no rush. I was stunned. I felt the tears sting my eyes, and for the first time in this entire ordeal, I broke down. The receptionist heard my distress and took pity on me. She found a cancellation and got me an appointment that Friday. That decision may have saved my life. The moment I walked into the examination room, I could tell. The doctor's face gave it away. Concern, a flicker of something she was trying to hide. She ran the tests, she examined the scans, and I braced myself. When I finally got a copy of my CT scan, I stared in horror at the image before me. The tumor was massive, a monstrous shape that had completely engulfed my kidney. I lost that kidney along with part of my stomach, core muscles, and more. It was larger than a honeydew melon, a silent, growing menace that had been inside me all along. If I had waited those 6 months, I might not be here to tell this story. But I am here. 10 years later, I am alive, and I wanted my doctor to remember me, not as the difficult patient he dismissed, but as the person he nearly killed with his negligence. So I took that CT scan, blew it up into a massive poster, and in thick red marker I wrote across it, "Does this look like heartburn to you?" Then, using industrial strength adhesive, I grit-filled it to his office door, permanent, undeniable, impossible to ignore. I hope he sees it every single day.